Well, a lot to talk about. Let's jump straight in. We're joined by Kاملیا Entekabifad. She's the editor-in-chief at the Independent Persian. Great to have you with us, Kامlیا. And in the US, Jason Brodsky is policy chief at the group United Against a Nuclear Iran. Great to have you with us as well, Jason. Kامlیا, I will start with you. Were you expecting such widespread protests in Iran? And would you say they have the potential to bring down this regime?
Thank you so much, dear Lara, and greetings to John. I hope all goes well next year to everyone in the world, including Iranian peoples. The uprising in Iran, this national rise, has all the elements we could say we were expected to be happen. That has the previous demands, lots of protests, and it cracked down by the regime, and it reached the level which we saw that this September becomes such a national void from Lord to Kurd, Baloch, Turkmen. Everyone came to overthrow the regime with one task, and that was to make the changes in the regime. In my opinion, everything was available from inside Iran to make that happen, but perhaps two very key elements externally from outside Iran was missing, which it hasn't find this good momentum to reach out this task and also support Iranian people. One of them I can call that the leadership, the oppositions outside Iran were fabulous. They acted brilliantly, but only haven't had a single leadership, and they have some devices between different opinions, which it makes Iranian inside Iran little frustrated. And the second one, was the international community. They didn't support them. It was just the tweets and condemnation and some sanctions. The regime already suffered from 40 years of sanctions, and you, me, and everyone else know how they learn to earn money. They broke the sanctions, the smuggling oil, drugs. They needed a stronger support for the Iranian people. That two key element makes this revolution haven't succeeded at this time.
Right, the Western response just hasn't been strong enough. I'm getting that from you there. And Jason, you, of course, have also been very much focused on the JCPOA and where that fits into all of this. It's been pronounced dead. Do you think it was the protests or perhaps the growing relationship between Russia and Iran that prompted the West to give up on the deal?
Well, it's great to be with you. I think that the JCPOA from 2015 is dead, but that doesn't necessarily mean diplomacy is dead in the minds of policymakers in Washington. And I think that that's a critical distinction for your viewers to realize. Often the JCPOA is conflated with diplomacy, but it's not necessarily synonymous with diplomacy. So that's important to keep in note as we go into 2023. I would say that it was a mix of the Iranian intransigence, coupled with the horrific crackdown on brave Iranians who were taking to the streets calling for the end of the Islamic Republic. And lastly, and most significantly, I think it was Iran's arming of Russia with lethal weaponry for use against an EU candidate country. If it was any element that has really pumped the brakes, especially in Europe, of reviving the JCPOA at this juncture or continuing diplomacy at this juncture, it really was the arming of Russia in Ukraine. That's Europe's backyard.
Well, Kامlیا, Iran managed to string the West along pretty much for the whole of 2022. When it comes to the JCPOA, what do you think will be the regime's strategy in 2023?
Laura, I believe the JCPOA is not dead. Joseph Borrell recently met with Amir Abdullahian in Jordan, and we remember the big smile of President Macron walking at the aisle with Borrell and Amir Abdullahian. The Western nations still very much are keen to have this agreement happen or put it back again alive. Otherwise, they would be pronounced dead publicly. Unfortunately, it may maybe just using the Iranian victims, these demonstrators, as the tools to bring back the regime again on the negotiation tables. First of all, seeing that Iran nuclear program is very dangerous for their aspect of the regional policies. They were saying otherwise Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and other Middle Eastern countries may go after nuclear program or nuclear warheads. And also the price of the oil still is the concern to the Western nations. If it's that, they have to tell us they were playing cards with this Iran nuclear, did with the Iranian people too. President Biden a few days ago said, oh, the JCPOA is dead, but we cannot announce. This is kind of a trick. Why a United States president cannot pronounce that dead to make any ties cut it from this regime? The sanctions is good, but is not good enough, and this is not the action Iranian really looking for. And I believe still the Iranian are having hope in 2023 still can resume the talks with the Western nations.
Very briefly, Jason, if you would, what is your outlook for Iran in 2023?
I think we will continue to see protests consuming the country. I think we are in a cycle of protest and martyrdom that is very difficult for the regime to control. There's a level of fearlessness within the Iranian population that I've never seen before, and it's unprecedented. And it's very difficult for the regime to put the genie back in the bottle. So I think we will continue to see that.